Thanks for joining us. Get your coffee ready, get your morning tea. Let's get ready for a good conversation. Let's say thanks to our sponsors who are supporting us: ALI, Bluestone, Finstro, Prosper, Heartland, Suncorp on deck, Speedy. Who else we got here? Affordable Staff, AdvisorNet, Lend, Pepper Money, Strive, AAMC, FE, Credit Fix, Trailbook Loans, and FunTap, who have recently joined us. Thanks everybody for supporting us. Sorry about the tech issues to start with. As we know, New South Wales is in a bit of a world of pain at the moment, and our hearts and thoughts go out to our industry family in New South Wales, which is in complete lockdown, and the COVID numbers are still increasing, and Victoria as well in the same similar sort of boat. The numbers have gone up, but it's all connected, so that's not quite so bad. But I just want to remind everyone, take that opportunity. We are thinking of you. If you are suffering with the stress of everything that's going on, don't forget the FBAA has our member confidential counselling program, CCP. Number is there on your screen if you need to reach out to someone for some professional counselling. Counselling is all done confidentially with Assured. You get 4 free sessions as an FBAA member. Nothing in this world's free. So the wonderful people from Suncorp are the ones picking up the tab. And neither Suncorp or ourselves get details of the conversation. Just Assured sends them a reconciliation every month saying you need to pay us X amount of money, and the lovely people at Suncorp pay it for you. But yeah, that counselling is free. Use it. It's there for you and your family. So don't hesitate. It's completely confidential. It's there to help you, and especially in these times when things are not so good. So and of course, don't forget there's Beyond Blue as well, and Are You OK? And we've been supporting Are You OK Day since 2016, I think it is. And of course, it's on again this year, next month on the 9th of September. You can see it there on your screen. If you're in Brisbane or the greater Brisbane area, come and join us face-to-face, register. We're face-to-face in Queensland this year. In past years, we've done face-to-face in New South Wales and Victoria. Queensland's done this year, coincidentally, just the way things worked out. And if you can't join us face-to-face because the state you're in or you're busy, whatever, you can live stream in. Register now. You can live stream in or join us face-to-face. And come and join us as we have a conversation on Are You OK Day. A bit of fun, some great food, and some great company with people that'll be with us. So yeah, get along, enjoy it. Let's get on with today's conversation. I'd like to welcome Joanne and Nick from Navig8Biz and BizFlix to have a chat to us today about running a business. And that's principally what today's conversation is about. So Joanne and Nick, welcome. Get you to click on your cameras and microphones. Thanks so much for being a part. G'day, Nick. Thank you. Waiting there for Joanne's camera to come on. But if we can move to the next slide, Mariah, we will continue on.
Here we go.
Technology is always fun. There we go. Welcome, Joanne. Thanks for joining, being part of it. Oh no, our absolute pleasure. Technology's not really been our friend this morning, has it? That's okay. That's life. It's real. We won't worry or stress over those things. But yeah, look, thanks so much for joining us today. And as I mentioned a little earlier, there are plenty of stress and strain on brokers all around Australia. We have a few hundred joining us this morning on Q&A. And so your brokers around this country are not unlike anybody else. They're extremely busy, and brokers around the country are very busy at this time. They're very fortunate to have the work that they have. But with that busyness comes a whole lot of challenges and issues that need to be dealt with from a business point of view. And of course, over the last 18 months, burdened with what's happening with COVID, the constant lockdowns and the difficulties they have brought in many, many different areas. And we won't go into the credit side of things today. I mean, that's not what you guys are here to talk about. We want to understand how we can better manage businesses and see what we can do to help our industry to maybe tick a few boxes they've been missing along the way. And of course, there'll be a little time to promote what you guys do as well. So because I think that's why the FBAA has partnered up with yourselves, because we are very keen and very focused on supporting our members, not just in that credit side of things, but with them as business people, and whether that's education, whether that's just knowledge on how to run a business effectively, whatever it may be. Anyhow, what I might do is start first and ask you both a couple of questions, and I'm going to start with you, Joanne, and I'll throw you in the deep end of the pool. It's all right, it's a great place to learn to swim. Tell me, what's your background? What have you done in your life and your career for getting where we are today? But give me a bit of insight to Joanna Brooks.
No problem. Well, thank you for asking. So my career started in banking in the 80s. And you know, the nice thing, like I've been a member of the FBAA because I was a commercial and plant and equipment broker for a number of years. So I went through the banking journey with the Commonwealth Bank and jumped out and joined a broker group. And during that time, I wrote the Certificate 4, I wrote the Diploma of Mortgage Broking Management, and evolved into stepping out of that and becoming the owner of a registered training organisation, delivering those qualifications as well as business and finance. So I've done that over a number of years. So I've had a few iterations of businesses. I've had a broker business, I've had a registered training organisation, I've built businesses from zero. I've built a business to 30 million in a very short space of time in the RTO space, but I've also liquidated a business. So I understand what it is to grow fast and to close. So, you know, I entered business life or ownership at the mature age of 38. It wasn't something that I started early. I, you know, was in banking for a good while. But I certainly have learnt a lot by rubber on the road, of running businesses and what it is to build and grow. And now Nick and myself are in business partnership, having started this business about 4 years ago. So that's a very quick.
That's fantastic. I just learned a whole lot in that little snapshot. Firstly, you've dressed appropriately to your carear path in the gold and black. We'll tick that box.
That wasn't intentional. There you go.
And you've been a member, so all these things connect. I love how life plays out. That's why I ask these questions. I think it's so wonderful to see these journeys and what do you call it? Is it the 6 degrees of separation, whatever it is? I think it's more like 2. It's not but thanks, Joe. That's very interesting. Nick, what about yourself?
So basically, hey, I've been around small business all my life, small, medium, and large, ultimately. But I grew up in an environment where my parents had their own business from, you know, as long as I've been alive, and they started a new business when I was about 5 years old. And by the time I'd reached 9, that business failed. And obviously the years leading up to, you know, at 7, 8, 9 years old, family life was a little bit interesting, to say the least, as what happens in these environments when, you know, business owners are under a lot of stress. So that sort of got me out to work pretty early as our family unit exploded. You know, both mum and dad had to start again separately and start from zero. So you know, we were in a very low socioeconomic situation, and I set off to work after school as a 10-year-old, which gave me some great insight into how small businesses run, you know, very, very early on in my life. And because we didn't have a whole lot, you know, I tried to work as many hours as I could, and also stack as many jobs on top of that to get ultimately more hours and more dollars. So what happened in those years between 10 and 20 years old is that I was spending more and more time in the workplace with other small business owners, acting as my mentor at that time. And I was given a lot of responsibilities, 12, 13, 14-year-old within those businesses. And I started my first business by the time I was 19. Along the way, I'd saved up enough money. I've had a lot to do with brokers over the time, for your audience's reference. So I'm on the other side of the table. So I purchased my first property in 1991 as a 16-year-old. And there was investment property. It was a property for my mum to live in. And you know, from there on, I started to build a property portfolio. I started flipping houses at 19, and that was my first business, was a property development business. And from there, you know, continually building and growing businesses. I founded a company here in Australia in 2003 called Hyundai Construction Equipment Australia, which is primarily services the earth moving and mining industries with excavators, wheel loaders, that kind of stuff. So plant and equipment. So I started that business, grew that from scratch, zero market share, zero, like we were brand new at that time, to over $100 million a year in revenue. Along the way, I had a business partner and co-founder with me that had passed away when we were 2.5 years into that business. Been through several, as I said, I grew up in a small business family environment, and recession in 1991, recession in 97 we had in New Zealand, global financial crisis in 2008, 2009, floods of Brisbane, where I had a business that went 3 meters underwater and we didn't have any insurance. That sort of long way through is, I exited out of a business in 2015, and I just started full-time investing into other businesses. I have a private equity company, which primarily I use as my vehicle to invest in other startups and existing businesses, a lot of turnaround. That private equity fund's called the RGO Global Fund, and I have a portfolio of 13 companies across Australia, New Zealand, and the UK right now. But in fact, I've bought, sold, invested in, acquired, nearly 40 companies across my lifetime. What became, when I met Joanne about 10 years ago, and she obviously had a vast experience in education, and we sat down one day and said, hey, look, about 3 or 4 years ago, and said, hey, I'd love to take what's in here, our business experience, and apply an education platform to that, so we can really help people in business, people just like my parents as I was growing up. Because all of the worst things that we see in our society are often attributed to the performance of how our businesses go as business owners. And whether we're all a business, all individually we're a business of something. We've got to have income come in, we've got expenses, and we've got to decide what we're going to do with the difference if we can make some. And so the way those business principles, true business principles, are really important to each and every one of us.
Yeah. We'll come to some of that shortly, but you've certainly been there and done that. That can't be denied. But I think one of the things that you touched on early on the piece, I think, is, and is something I'll talk about a little bit more time as well. But the old saying is, it's just not all beer and Skittles. Life doesn't always play fairly. And I'll pardon the language, but shit happens. It's not a perfect road. So things fail and collapse. I've seen it myself, as just about every business person has. It's challenging, and that becomes very soul destroying. It puts enormous strains and at times destroys family units, let alone trying to rebuild after going through some tough times and trying to get back onto that plane of success. It's difficult. It's really difficult. And before we go into some of those things, tell me, whilst I'm with you, Nick, what do you do to relax? You've got so many business interests. How do you find time? But what is it you do to relax? Because I think it's important, because we've all got to find something at some stage.
Well, look, hey, I've got a take on that. I've got a version of that, and essentially, I love what I do. I love building businesses. I'm very fortunate. I found what my passion in life, and I found a real purpose to connect that to. Like, without getting too woo-woo on everybody here, like I did literally wake up one day and say, what I really want to do is help other people in business. It sort of dawned on me. I was, probably around 34 years old. It dawned on me that, hey, I'd done a lot in business. I'd done probably a lot more than people had, with many, many more years experience. And I'd done it multiple times over, and then I got an aptitude. So what do I do to relax is, I love every single day that I've got. I love working with other people in business. I love every business that I've got. I've got co-founders and CEOs. I've got business partners with, and I love interacting with them. Joanne and I quite often are on a Zoom or a phone call over the weekends. I'm never that far from my office, no matter where in the world I am, and I just love being in business. I love growing stuff.
No, it's a good attitude in life as well, and when you're investing in yourself and investing in what your passion is, it usually plays out in a very good space. That's good. What about you, Joanne? Do you do anything special? I mean, I know for me, I've got to a point in life where I found every now and then I just need some space, some time to relax. I jump on the motorbike and go for a ride. That's my little out these days, because my wife used to put it on me all the time, Nick. She always said, the way you relax, Pete, is to write spreadsheets. And she was probably right.
There you go. There you go. Maybe that's my therapy too.
Well, I've swapped the bike for spreadsheets, so I'll move on. What about you, Jack?
Look, I would say I love a good spreadsheet as well. But I know for me, every morning, it's pretty weird, isn't it? But I know there's a rhythm for me every morning, which is my piece. I get up early. I have 2 large dogs. I walk one of them. I come home. I meditate. I take some time for me, and I write in my planner what I'm going to do for the day. But in that planner, what I write are my goals, my big goals that I'm aiming for, and I write them as though they've already happened. So that rhythm for me is what gets me ready for the day. On the weekend, we go to the beach for a walk because we have a little bit more time. But that is just something that I do every day, and that's what I've worked out. That rhythm is what I need.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And interestingly enough, and for everybody who's watching us today, I've not shared my questions with each of you, but you've all touched on things I want to talk about. So how's that? We're all on the same wavelength. But before we get to all that, look, I'd like to get your thoughts on what you believe the biggest issues or challenges are that face people in business today. And putting COVID to one side, because that's an obvious challenge. But besides that, what are your thoughts around the biggest issues or challenges facing people in business today? Joanne, have you got some thoughts around that?
I have indeed. One of the things that we hear and see loud and clear are so many business owners enter business for the product or service they're going to deliver, but they don't necessarily have the understanding of how to build the business that sells this pen or sells a broking service or product or helps their clients achieve their dreams. Sadly, there's an easy entry point to starting a business. You can go and get an ABN very, very easily. There's no test, there's no rule book, there's no guidebook or any of those sort of things. And I genuinely feel a lot of people enter business without the seriousness that deserves. Because it's so easy to enter business, they might be excellent at making the coffee, excellent at writing loans and talking to the customers, but they don't give the importance to working on the business regularly and consistently. Like, is it daily? Is it weekly? The business rhythms are not there, and that's something that we really speak to in Navig8. And I just know that if you've got great foundations, I've always been a big advocate of saying this little scenario: if you're going to build a house with poor foundations, you go past story 1, it's not going to stand. But if you have good foundations that go to the bottom, you can build and scale this. You can go many levels.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I took a position back in 2010 for the FBAA, which some people questioned somewhat at the time, and still like to play off it a little bit, although they get not too far these days, that's for sure. But when the laws changed in our industry, we brought in the NCCP from the UCCC, and the minimum education standard changed from Cert 3 to Cert 4, and then there was the diploma. And there was push by some to say, go do your diploma, rah, rah, rah. And I said, no. As far as we're concerned, from a membership point of view, and our stance is, go do your Cert 4. And the whole principle of that was learn your foundations, learn them well, build a strong, solid platform, and then you can build what you want on top. Right? And we found the majority of people have since, go ahead, do diplomas, do doctorates and master's degree in finance, all that sort of stuff, because they want to. But without the right foundations, doesn't matter what you build on top of it, it's never going to work. Exactly. Nick, what's your thoughts on that on business sales? I want to come back to that rhythm too, Nicole. I want to come back to that shortly as well. Nick?
Thank you.
Hey, look, most people's biggest challenge in life is their own mindset. It's what they're looking for, what information that they want to take in, what stance they want to take on that information, what their goals are. And more specifically into business, almost everybody starts a business with the goals are too small, but that transfers into life. Most people's goals in life are way too small. many people go in to start a business, and again, I'm talking to your broker audience here. Again, every single person is a business. Like maybe some of the brokers may think of themselves as an agent or an alignment under a particular banner, but let me remind you, you are a business, and with that is a business owner requires a different mindset than an employee, and that in itself. Having people understand it. I mean, at Navig8Biz, that's one of our biggest areas of of education around. You cannot go into hey, I'll give you an example. Look, I've been a great banker. I've been a really good employee in the bank, and I'm going to go out and start my broking business. Well, you're actually looking at the skill, and you're not looking at what required beyond that actually to run the business. What's the compliance piece? What's the marketing piece? How am I going to get people to know? I bet if I talk to almost anyone on this webinar here now, they're going to say, I wish I could have had more customers, which again, sales and marketing, key skills of being a business owner. Knowing the pitfalls and the traps of actually being able to write the document, that's the skill. And it's the equivalent of saying, hey, I'm a great builder, so I'm going to go and start my building company. So what we talk about is, what's one of the biggest challenges is your mindset and your preparation for you to go in and run that business, and your preparedness to upskill yourself to have those business skills.
Yeah, very, very, very good points. And it's there's an interesting little saying. I apologize, I've been quickly scrambling to try and find on my phone, and the saying is, I did manage to find it, is doubts kill more dreams than failure ever will.
100%.
Yeah, we put the limitation on ourselves, and we almost destine ourselves to fail if we're not careful. And we've got to be there to skill ourselves and to make sure that we have strength and faith in what we're doing as people to succeed. The right mindset.
Indeed.
100%.
Excellent. So, with that in mind, going to the other end of the spectrum. And I remember this data from ages ago, and I'm kind of hoping you guys might know where it stands today. And although this is a little bit negative, but it's a part of why we need to focus on this. What is this data? What's the statistic on the amount of businesses that fail from startup? It used to be, I think, 1 in 3 from memory. Or was that the divorce rate? I don't know. I can't remember. I get too old.
Well, it depends what time scale you're talking, but as a rule of thumb, a new business will, 6 out of 10, 60% will fail within 36 months. And for us at Navig8Biz, that's our big driver. Like, anyone, like that is ABN numbers getting registered. So, is that a perfect science? You would suggest not. But the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and interestingly, all the data that we've looked at, is this an Australian, is this a problem that we've got here? No, most developed Western first world nations all have a very similar, whether it's North America, UK and Europe, New Zealand, the numbers are very, very similar all over the world. And that is because mostly we've grow up at home with our parents as employees. We go to school, we learn how to be a good employee. We go to university to learn how to be a better employee. And then we go and get our first job, and we're trying to, we're constantly on this employee process. And then when we go and start a job, we're all at sea and wondering why we can't get past just 1 or 2 people in the business.
So we're talking about 60% in the first 3 years, was that right?
At least.
At least.
Yeah. So, and what becomes more interesting in that, when you actually break that down, so you can break that down a whole lot of different ways. You can break it down by industry. You can break it down by the number of people in the business. You can break it down by the revenue in the business, and you can break it down by the company structure. Is it a company? Is it a partnership? Is it a sole trader? And so what we find is when you actually drill in to owner operators in particular industries that are in a sole trader structure that are turning over less than $200,000 a year, the failure rate is more like 80%.
Oh, wow.
Now, if you walked in to get your ABN, or not that you would walk in, if you looked at your screen to click on that, and someone said, there was a little checklist to say the industry, what industry you intend to go in, how many people you intend to employ, and of course, and again, I'd be interested to know how many of you on your network, on your webinar here, actually have staff within their business. But if you're going to say, hey, look, I'm going to be the only person in my business, and then what your turnover, well, hey, if I earn a couple $100,000 a year, I'll be going all right, won't I? Now, if you click all those check boxes and it says, well, you've got about a 20% chance of survival beyond 3 years, would you still carry on and do that ABN? Or would you go back and do a little bit of research to see if you could grow that business? Because what we do know is if you can get beyond 5 staff and beyond 2 million a year turnover, you've got a business that is highly likely to succeed over the longer term. And that's what we, do, is we show the pathway to get to that point.
Yeah. So, Joanne, what's your thoughts on as to, from your viewpoint, why you think the failure rates are the way they are? In addition to obviously what Nick was saying, and you guys will obviously be aligned on those thoughts, but is there anything else in there you sort of go, well, there's also, this is a contributing factor? I'm not trying to be negative here, but it's important to understand where this lands, because it then helps to navigate how to be successful. And that was really by accident, by the way. It was just as where my head went.
Bravo.
Well, I think it's just that collection of things, is that the mindset to approach it, that entering business, and I fell for this back when I was 38. The first business I started was to teach people how to write commercial loans and plant equipment, because we at that point the Cert 4 didn't cover it. So I started my first business for flexibility, lots of money, and lots of time. Yep. Wow. Learned the error of my ways very quickly, and I had some opportunities come my way. Wow, did I learn some. I was very arrogant, a lot of ego in that, because I've been in the industry for 20 odd years. So people were just going to come and see me, weren't they? They were just going to come and see me. So thankfully, I had the size 12 up my proverbial. Very quickly did I realize the error of that way. Yeah. So mindset, preparation in the importance of running the business, planning, go for big goals, look at the opportunity, really look at research the opportunity, because, regardless of where you are, particularly, in the finance broker industry, you've got an Australian opportunity. It's enormous. It really is enormous. The barriers to physically walking in to meet somebody is gone. You can do it all virtually. But, taking the business seriously, understanding that there are many layers and complexities and foundations you need to put in place so that you can scale and build, because the scale and the building is what's going to put that protection moat around you. And part of that is having a really sound advisory board in your business. Even if you are a small company with this much turnover, with this many customers, get yourself your bookkeeper and accountant to be involved in these decision making. Speak to your lawyer, get a mentor and coach, get the foundations and educate yourself and understand your skills. What are the things that you have a gap in? What are the things you do well? What are the things that you can outsource? Put those protection moat around you, and then the extra protection will be the number of staff you have and the turnover you build. Yeah. And that will build a protection moat around you from failure.
I'm always concerned in our industry, people come in undercapitalized. So they think they're going to walk into being a mortgage broker or a finance broker, and they're going to make 100 grand in their first 6 months or a couple hundred grand in the first year. And they may not get a commission check for 3 to 6 months, maybe 12 months. So they've got to be able to feed and run their business off their capital base. And this has been a long-term conversation in our industry, but it always worries me. People enter this game, think it's a quick, easy buck. It's not. And no one should ever approach anything with that mindset, but they just don't have enough capital liquidity, I should say, behind them to actually support themselves. And Nick, just reflecting on one of your comments before, the amount of full-time employees in our industry, it's roughly about 1.5 employees per broker. That's generally what it is, because brokers are generally one-man shows. We did a report in 2018 with Deloitte that said that we discovered through that report that our industry employs 27,100 full-time employees, and there's about 19,500 brokers, but you can take about 3,000 off the top of that who are basically part-timers with no employees. It's about 1.5. We've got our big aggregation firms, the umbrella companies, they employ hundreds, but the actual man in the street, the broker at the front line, half on average, thereabouts. And wrong, that may be themselves. So we can't.
And that's specifically who we would be talking to. When we were saying our message here is that one that broker that's out on their own. As Joanne said before, like a lot of these people, they do look to start the business because, oh well, it's a lifestyle choice, and I can, things are, I can, make the same or better money, and I'm gonna, be able to, time will be my own, and I can work a lot less. Well, let me tell you, it's been my experience in life, and everybody that I know, that's not really a good way to go and start a business. And
No.
To your point, Peter, if you really are interested in finance, and you've got to be interested in the customer. Again, coming back to, why do you want to be in the industry you're in? And you've got to be interested in serving the market. You've got to be interested in solving the problem for the customer, because if you've started in this business because, I just think it's, it's something that I know and it's a good way for me to earn an income, it's not really you need to be there because you want to serve the people.
Yeah. And
I think
it does play out a little bit for a balance with lifestyle, because you can vary your hours, but unless you approach it with a business mindset, you're never going to be successful.
And that's the beauty of that. The beauty of having, sorry, Joanne, the beauty of having a business partner. To your point before, Peter, is that the people that are struggling with certain areas of the business, people that are struggling with the growth side of it, people that are struggling with the amount of equity, the capital they've got in the business, is it more powerful to team up with another broker? And I'm sure you've probably seen examples of it over the years where, geez, once those two got together, or once those three got together, things really took off. And I guarantee their lifestyle really got a lot better too, because they were sharing, the highs and the lows they were sharing with someone. There was different skill sets at the table that they could, I guess, plug the gaps that they perhaps had on their own. So, some really important stuff to think about for all business owners.
Yeah, and I think what speaks to that as well is when people start a business, you absolutely need to tap into why and purpose. And so, because the rocky road's going to come, you need to keep that fire in the belly going. And the only way you can do that is tap into what's your legacy, what's your purpose, what's your why. And I know years ago when I used to do a lot of education to brokers, and I would always ask the question, what are you selling? And the number of people would say to me, well, a mortgage. No. What are you selling? What are you selling? It's the dream for your customer. It's the satisfaction of mum and dad saying to the kids, we're going to live in this great house. We are now creating a lifestyle that you can go to that great school and you can go and do these things. And our brokers and all business owners need to tap in. What is the feeling you give your customer when your product and service is delivered? And that is super important. It's about mindset.
Yeah, unquestionably so. And in line with all that, you got to be able to somehow deliver on it. Yeah, it's all well and good. So we need to do whatever we need to do. Somehow we've got to work a way to deliver on it. We have, all have very, very busy lives. The words that sort of start to come out of my mouth, but I want to reflect back on what you touched on earlier, Joanne, was about is routine. Having, is it routine? Is it time management? What is it that we need to set ourselves? How do we set ourselves up to succeed, not set ourselves up to fail? Is it structure? What is it? And you touched on it a little bit earlier, and I said I'd come back to it.
A huge believer in business rhythms.
Yep.
And business rhythms, in my mind, are the things that you do to work on your business daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. Too many business owners don't plan. They don't do big enough goals, but they don't have plans to revisit their strategic plan. It's something you should do every quarter. Most of us are doing BASs and all those sort of things. But getting to the detail, like we all have a myriad of things we need to do to build a business. Whether you're a broker with lots of compliance, whether you are in a business like Navig8, or what you sell, doesn't matter. There's always other competing things to grab your attention. So the things that I know work well for me, and it was what worked in other businesses, is that we have a huddle every morning. And that huddle is a stand-up meeting. It's at 8:37. It's a very deliberate, weird time because it's hard to be late at 8:37. It is hard to be late. And it's a virtual meeting on our phones. And it's, what are the 3 things you're going to do today that speak to our big, hairy, audacious goal. What are the things we're going to do? What are the 3 things you did yesterday? Hold each other accountable, check in with the team. Now, we have a business community in Navig8 that we've got a whole bunch of people who are individual businesses. You know, it's just them. So what we implemented was you have a huddle amongst yourselves, build a network, and you hold each other business brokers, other business owners, huddle with one another so that you can get into this rhythm. And it's a not negotiable to not attend. So there needs to be an acceptance and an understanding that this is important. But that meeting takes 10, 15 minutes. It's not a lot of time. Again, it's mindset. But it's also understanding the things that you need to do, like monthly. How often and how many people are looking at their financial dashboard? How did their business perform last month? Having conversations with their accountant and bookkeeper. What dashboards are they looking at themselves that they can look at the key metrics that they need to do, and where's the area of the business that needs your attention? So it's this rhythm of regular working on the business and committing to it and locking out your diary to do that. Now that can be a hard, like it's like going to the gym. The muscle memory has to be built. So you need an accountability partner to keep you accountable to maintaining that, which is why, you know, we have a business community in Navig8 so that we can hold each other accountable. We are all great at starting gym at the beginning of the new financial year. How many of us actually continue? Because we have nobody to hold us accountable. And it's the same for business. We need an accountability buddy.
Yeah, like it a lot. Nick, you got some thoughts on that as well?
I got a lot. It's one of the big commonalities between Joe and I could talk about people and that they don't have enough time all day, but I mean, I guess just trying to hit the highs and try and provide some value for your audience here. Look, you know, I've got a very simple mantra. Is that when you say you haven't got time, what you're really saying is that's not a priority for me, and that's fine. Okay, but what it is face up to the truth of what it actually is. You know, like we've all got different priorities. We've all got the same 24 hours a day. We've all got, like, you know, hey, I've got 3 young kids. I've got a wife. You know, we've got all of these things going on. I've got 13 businesses. I've got all of these things going on, but I've still got the same amount of time as anyone else. I've got the same school commitments, sport commitments. But what we all have a choice each and every day is to work out what those priorities are. And you know, if someone said to you there, Peter, you know, hey, look, actually let's try and pick something. A friend you hadn't seen, a great buddy you hadn't seen for 10 years, said, I'm available for this particular period of time to go for a bike ride with you there, Peter, and you know, we're going to go for half a day, whatever. You know, probably good chance you're going to move heaven and earth to make sure that you can go out with that person, you know, go for that ride with that person, because it's a priority for you. You will make time to make that happen. However, if I said, hey, let's go and have a meeting at that same period of time, you know, the ATO rings up and ATO office worker says, hey, oh, look, I'd love to I want to sit down and go through all your taxes here, Peter. Well, you know, I'm a bit busy that day. We better push that out to the next week or the next month or the next year. You know, that's a crude analogy, but the reality is the point is you will make time for what's important for you. So what's got to happen is you've got to schedule what you do. You've got to get your diary there. Like, this is a Sunday activity for me. Right, what have I got to get done this week? What are the non-negotiables? And then, you know, there's an old saying, you probably know it well, swallow the frog whole. Get the things that you don't want to do right at the top of the list, first thing in the morning. Get them done. And you know, we've all got those things. You know, like for me, I don't particularly, like, you know, exercise was not a thing that came natural. I'm not a natural athlete or sports person, but the first thing I do every day, open my eyes, do what we all do when we first get up, and then I go and get my exercise done, because I know if I don't do it first thing in the morning, you know, there's Buckley's chance of it happening at the other end of the day.
Yeah.
And
so the counselling for me, if I was to box it into a couple of words, is rhythm and time management. Yeah, and planning your day. And I agree. You know, you get the hard things done first. The things you don't want to do, they're the things you want to get done first. Get them out of the way. Yeah. It's love it. It's interesting. So, what then do you see is the key things that people need to focus on? I know we're talking about these things, but are there and we're talking about just general business principles as such, not the activity of being a broker, but you know, are there key things that need to be? I mean, it's the rhythm, it's the time management. Is there other things? Is it just the attitude that you approach something with? So get the hard things out of the way, Nick. You know, is it things like that? Is it other things that people need to focus on? And yeah, what is it, that little recipe, that little secret for success?
You can go, Nick. I know you.
Well, one is like just take responsibility. Like in my life, everything that goes on, you know, if someone sideswipes me, it's my fault. I was there. You know, like whatever happens in your life, you've got to take responsibility for that. I mean, we can all sit here and go COVID this and COVID that and global financial crisis and whatever the next thing's going to be. We've all had these things. Joanne's got a list as long as your arm on all the things that she's been through in her life. And I'd urge you to actually check that podcast out. Jump on Navig8Biz.com and check that out, because I mean it's an amazing story that, you know, everybody should listen, because she underplays it here on the introduction. But the reality is as a business owner, we need to take responsibility. As a human, we need to, but as a business owner particularly, we've got to take control of what's going on around us. Oh, Scott Morrison's made this decision or that. Like, you know, like it's passing the buck. So I'd say, hey, one is take responsibility. Two is discipline. Make sure that you are getting in those rhythms and you are repeating it, and it's no matter what. Don't come up with the excuses. Hop off the excuse train and get those things going all the time. And then, you know, hey, big goals, absolutely important. You know, we all, you know, it was interesting. You started this with, you know, are you okay in the mental health beyond blue, which is really, really important, because you know, I know, you know, with what happened with my parents growing up, and you know, I think of all of the times where I have been at the lowest ebb in my life is when I have not been focused on what I want to do in my life, what my goals are, and chasing those goals, dreams, and aspirations. Anyone on here that's probably feeling a little down, I'm sure would absolutely resonate with the fact is they just don't know what they're doing. They're all in a funk because they're actually not got their vision, their purpose all laid out in their life. And that's actually a really simple thing for each and every one of us to do.
Yeah. Lost in the forest. Joanne?
Look, I think exactly what Nick said. Stick to the purpose, take control and take ownership. And I think the ownership goes to another level. If you've got people who are working for you, suppliers, those sort of things, like I'm a huge believer, leave that bloody ego at the door. You know, turn up, be there for your business, leave your ego at the door, recognize the work done when others do it for you, and take the responsibility when things don't go well. Because ultimately, as you as the owner, the CEO, the general manager, whatever you want to call yourself, if something has not happened as per expectations, you need to sit back and reflect, where did I miss in the information that I delivered for what needed to get done? Did you set up that person for success to get that task done? As a business owner, if you can accept you know, you're at the top of the tree, it doesn't even matter if your admin person gave that instruction. You need to take ownership, because there's your opportunity to improve. Absolutely, there's your opportunity to improve, and have that mindset that it's up to me. I have to make these decisions. And yeah, another piece I'm going to slip into quickly is just make decisions. Don't procrastinate. Don't hold off on making a decision because it's not perfect or I'm not sure. Because you know what? Make a decision on the information you have. And if it turned out to be not the decision that gave you the outcome you needed, where can I improve? Where can I change? Debrief that. Understand, where did the instruction go wrong? What was the information that I had? But use it as an opportunity to make another decision. Too many business owners procrastinate too much and don't make the decision that they need to make.
Well, you did lead straight into my next question. I'm sure I must have shared my questions with you, Zoe, but that was the thing I wanted to talk about, what we should do. What are the things we shouldn't do? And you just touched on a whole host of things that we shouldn't do. Don't procrastinate on it.
Yeah.
So, Nick, do you want to add to that list of things that we shouldn't do in business? The things that almost set you up to fail, or the things that will create you heartache or slow you down?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is speak to probably the biggest one that is a real speed bump, a real hindrance for all of us, and it's a really difficult one to contend with, and that's the information that we get fed each and every day. Now, you know, what we've all got a choice around how much time we're on this thing, and what apps that we're looking at, and what notifications are coming up. Oh, there's a notification, 600 COVID cases today. And then you get into that thread of all the negativity. So what you shouldn't be doing is getting wrapped up in the narrative. What you've got to do is focus on what's really important in your life. What is that goal? And then start to filter out the stuff that's distracting you from that. I'm not talking about super important family matters, but I'm talking about just the general news cycle that's just getting force-fed down all of us constantly. That is really unhelpful to us in our everyday lives, and super unhelpful in our business. So many business owners that we're talking with in the last 18 months, we started doing free webinars back in March last year to help small business owners through the COVID process, because so many were just jumping down to the trenches and go, I'll just sit here and wait till everything goes back to normal again. And, because based on the information they're getting, that it was all gonna, it's all just constantly compiling in there. And we're saying, no, hang on, whoa, you need to get out there and focus on what the opportunity is. Don't go down in the trenches, because the news cycle will have you down. They'll tell you every bad news story going, tell you every reason why you shouldn't get out of bed every day. And so find yourself, surround yourself with the right information that gives you all the reasons why you do want to get out of bed every day, and why you've got a great chance and a great opportunity each day, because you're not going to get that one from your main media outlets.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, and surround yourself with the right people. So whether it's your huddle that you're a part of, or those people that you're close to, surround yourself with the right positive people that are, I guess, sharing the same sort of dreams you are, the visions, the want to succeed, the journey that you're on. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And look, I want to do something now that I normally don't do. Q&A with Whitey was built on information sharing and answering brokers' questions through, and I started this last year at the beginning of COVID, and we used to do it weekly, and we now do it monthly, because there's so many questions that people had. And last year we did a quite significant research piece on our members, and one of the things they wanted to know about was, how do I run my business better? Right? Which is why we're having this conversation, and why, through the research that the FBAA's done and my team's done, that we want to team up with you guys in trying to help our members and brokers in general be better business people. So what I normally don't do is I don't allow people to pitch their services, but we're gonna, because it's important, because this is what they need, because that's what they asked for. So I would like to spend a few minutes now before we finish up talking about what Navig8Biz and BizFlix is all about, and how that can help brokers in their journey of being a business person, being a better business person, being focused, being disciplined, and all things they need to be, and to push the negativity away and surround themselves with the right sort of inputs to help them to be successful. So Joanne, I might start with you on this one, if that's okay. Just so give me a bit of the good oil around that sits between what is BizFlix and what is Navig8Biz, and why these things are important. Don't take everything away from Nick, because he's got to have a go too, because I'll leave a little bit for him.
There's plenty there.
Thank you.
It's so important, because our members have asked, they want this information, so I'm giving it to them, and I firmly believe you guys are part of that answer. So I really like to talk a bit about what you do.
Great, awesome. So BizFlix is our business cinema platform. What we understood, we were very fortunate in late 2020 to be, 2020, sorry, the years are just going so fast. We were given the opportunity through government funding to support small business in Queensland. And we were fortunate enough that we could impact 2,000 businesses during that time. So we connected with that many businesses. So what we gathered was a lot of intelligence about what small business owners were looking for, what they were searching, and what they needed. What we understood was they needed to have good, credible information about how to build and run a business. They were overwhelmed with the amount of white noises going out there, as Nick spoke about. Too many distractions, and they just didn't know, when they're doing the Dr. Google, what's valid, what's real, what's correct, what's Australian, all those sort of things. And what I also know is, over the years, small business owners don't really want to be told they need to do a course or be educated. Using that language is somewhat of a barrier, because a lot of business owners feel, well, I actually know what I'm doing, but I actually know that I need to know stuff. So what we decided was that BizFlix was going to be a great platform. So if you can visualize Netflix, but it's BizFlix. So what it is a collection of videos from Nick and I. We film every second week. There is more than 60 videos sitting there now across branding, marketing, sales, finance, strategy, mindset, legacy. So you can go in, instead of hitting comedy, romance, horror, branding, finance, marketing, click on it, and the videos appear that our users can watch and absorb and rewatch and absorb over and over again. So this is a collection of videos that get into the nitty-gritty of all aspects of business. And as I said, there's 60, 70 there now. There's an enormous library still to upload on a simple subscription. But what it is coaching 24/7, 365. We know that small business owners know they need coaching. Coaching can be considered, the perception is it's expensive, it's time consuming. It can even be a little bit embarrassing because I've got to let somebody into my business and look under the hood. And maybe it doesn't look as nice and shiny as I'd like it to be. So this is a way our audience can like, know, and trust Nick and Joanne from Navig8Biz, can understand who we are and the skill set that we have. And they can absorb the content at the pace on their phone, listen to it while they're driving, watch it, and just be exposed to all facets of business that we've learned collectively over 50 years between the two of us, and all the ups and downs and the highs and the lows that we've experienced. And so we've put that into video format, and that's what it is, on a simple subscription.
Your experiences are unquestionably strongly founded, and it sounds like there is so much that everyone can learn from yourselves through the BizFlix platform and the content that's there. Just as a starter, I guess, to the totality that the services that you guys provide. Nick, you want to build on that a little?
Yeah, well, I mean, we started Navig8 for it to be, you know, a go-to platform for business owners, you know, would-be business owners, people think about starting a business, or people in business that want to improve their situation. We wanted to have a platform, available there that small business owners could go and obtain the right information. You know, not, you know, in plain English, simple, experienced information about how to do it. And so in Navig8Biz environment, you know, on Navig8Biz.com, yes, we've got podcasts, blogs, tools, and templates is super important. Like, if you're thinking about, now, how do I put a budget together? How do I get my cash flow forecast together? All of these templates in there, you know, business plans, you know, marketing plans, all those templates are sitting there in there. And on top of that, those that want to go a little deeper, you know, we have workshops just like this here. We run you know, workshops, boot camps. We have 8-week boot camps where we take people that are in business, maybe it's not going so well, through that 56 days with Joanne and myself. We take them through step by step how to really turn that business around, just as I would do if I went and bought that business and then started to implement those things. They can hold our hand on the way through. But as Joanne says, many people, you know, maybe there's some skepticism around getting you know, a mentor or a coach in the business, or it might be a cost thing, it might be a time thing. So we created the BizFlix platform a little bit in jest to Netflix, because everybody's too busy to work on their business, but they seem to find time for a couple of movies on Netflix on the weekend. But you know, what it is, it gives a real entry level access into coaching, $19.95 a month, and they've got 24/7, 365 access to, you know, all of our best stuff, condensed, entertaining, and just real world practical tips and tools how they can do that. So everything through from free tools and templates, you know, books that we've written, you know, time management, and, you know, right through to workshops and boot camps, depending on, you know, what the small business owner's appetite is. So, you know, really is the gamut there on Navig8Biz.com.
Yeah, and that cost for the subscription is just, it's not cheap, it's actually rather crazy. I mean, I know what, you know, if you went to lawyers to find the templates or so on for business plans and marketing plans you're talking about, it costs you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just as a straight up. I mean, the services you guys are providing through Navig8Biz and BizFlix are just fantastic. And I would implore everyone who's watching here and to our entire membership and this is being recorded, so it'll be available through our YouTube channel, and we'll be doing a lot more work together as we go forward, is you need to look into this. We need to be running professional businesses. You need to be skilled and armed with the right tools to be successful, and that includes the right mindset and the right people around you. And thank you to Nick and to Joanne. Thank you both for being with us this morning. Thanks for being a part of the FBAA family. You are now, so you're stuck with us. There's a great journey ahead of us, and I think this is, as I said earlier, this is something our members wanted, but I think it's so incredibly important. We can be great tradesmen and absolutely lousy business people. We've got to learn to be both to be successful. We've got to be good at our trade, and we've got to be good at running our businesses. So thank you both so much for joining us today, and all the best, and we'll be talking really soon. And for people who want your details, they'll be sent out to everyone via email and available through the FBAA website as well. So thanks, be well, and we shall speak soon.
Thank you, Peter. Really appreciate it. Thank you, and thanks, audience. Great.
Thank you.
Excellent.
All right, everyone. Well, what a great session that was, and really appreciative Joanne and Nick for their information, wisdom, and knowledge. And you cannot deny their experiences, and that's what it is that they bring to the table. So that's excellent stuff. All right, just in closing, I just want to let you know that next month our Q&A session is got to move out to October. We've got things happening interstate, hopefully, but unfortunately they do, some of the things are colliding time-wise. So we will catch up with you again on the 21st of October. You can see on the slide, and we're going to be talking to Kitty Parker. Kitty's been with us beforehand on Q&A. She is a property buyer's advocate, is the word I'm looking for, property buyer's advocate. We're going to be talking about what's happening in the property market and what are the tricks and traps that are happening there. Kitty is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be some great insights from her. But anyhow, put that in your diary, 21st of October, and don't forget, we know it's tough times out there. If you need some professional counselling, there's the number for you again on the screen, 1-800-808-374. Give the professional counsellors a phone call, let them know you're an FBAA member. They'll go through the process with you, for you or anyone in your family, and they'll look after you and give you some guidance on the way through. And of course, come out in September, Are You OK Day. Register to attend, whether you're live streaming from interstate, or if you're within the greater Brisbane area and you want to come and join us face to face, register, come along, enjoy, and be a part of the fun and the conversations for Are You OK Day. And of course, don't forget, COVID permitting, our conference we pushed back to the 5th of November, Friday. Join us, register, registrations are there. If for any reason things move around because of COVID, everything's protected, everything's safe, you won't lose money. It's all fine. We'll be having it. If we just got to watch what's happening in New South Wales and Victoria. But up here in Queensland, we're all good, and we'll keep you posted. But for now, register. Make sure you register. That gets you a seat, and come along and join us, assuming we can. Thanks to our sponsors again. They're great people. Appreciate everything they do for us. And of course, you will get an email after this. It'll give you information to connect to the great people at Navig8 and BizFlix, so to Joanna and Nick, as well as your CPD allocation code for an hour, and a quick survey. Just give us some feedback, would be appreciated. Don't comment on the technical difficulties at the beginning of this. It was the day's challenge. Anyhow, from us to you, be well, be safe, take care, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye for now.